Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scrabo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is Friday, March 18th, 2022. And we're going to look at the full moon that occurred. It actually occurred already. It occurred at like 3:18, I think, in the morning. So full moons are points of awareness. They're part of the synodic cycle of the sun and the moon. And we had that new moon in Pisces, if you can remember, 2 weeks ago. And now we come to the fullness of that new moon. With the full moon, the full moon is at 28 degrees of Virgo. And the seeds planted on the new moon in Pisces, which occurred on March 2nd, 2022, which incidentally vibrated to an 11, which is a master number, are revealed. So the seeds planted at that new moon. Now we remember that new moon was right around the time that Russia invaded the Ukraine. If we look at what's what was going on at the time. So the sun in this full moon is at 28 degrees of Pisces. You know what? Let me make this a little bit bigger for you. Hold on one second. Okay, we can see things a little easier now. We have the sun at 28 degrees of Pisces. The Sabian symbol for 28 degrees of Pisces is a fertile garden under the full moon, reveals a variety of full-grown vegetables, the full satisfaction of the individual's basic needs, in opposition to the moon at 28 degrees of Virgo, which is a bald-headed man who has seized power, the sheer power of personality in times that call for a decision. So it's very interesting because, of course, we know that at this point, Vladimir Putin has invaded the Ukraine and is just pounding them into oblivion, and with no consideration of humanitarian corridors. None of that is happening. He's just pounding his neighbor, right? So he is the sort of, I guess he's the bald man who has seized power. And so we come to a point of awareness here, a point where we need to perhaps make some decisions. We can see here the sun and the moon are in opposition. The sun, of course, the opposition of the sun and the moon is that point of awareness. And a couple of other things along with this, we can see that the sun is in a relatively close conjunction to Neptune here. We see all these planets in the sign of Pisces. We have Mercury, we have Jupiter, we have Neptune, we have the sun all in Pisces. And then the moon is all by itself out here. And there's this sense, when you see this sort of setup where you have all the planets on one side and the moon on the other, you can sometimes feel like you're out there on your own, right? And we also see that the nodes of the moon here are aspecting the sun and the moon. We have the south node trining the sun. We have the south node sextiling the moon. And of course, the sun sextiling the north node and trining the moon here. We also have Saturn about to make a exact square to the nodes of the moon. Saturn square the nodes of the moon is a time of crossroads, and when there is a resolution to this, the resolution node for this Saturn squaring the nodes is the south node in Scorpio. So we need to go to the past in order to, so we need to resolve issues from the past before we can move into the future. The north node in Taurus is stability, and the south node in Scorpio is understanding the shadow, understanding the wounds, right? So this is something that we're sort of all getting to witness. And as we stand back and we look at what's going on, many of us are like, how is this even possible? I thought we were further along than this. Well, maybe some of us are, but obviously Vladimir Putin is not over this. In fact, this is perhaps part of his plan to reunite the Soviet Union. I think it is a plan that he has, but I don't think it's a plan that any of the countries who he wants to gobble back up into the Soviet Union have as a goal. So he is in his way. And it's interesting because the moon here at 28 degrees of Virgo has the symbol of that bald-headed man who has seized power. It's all by himself, all by himself on the side of the chart. So the cheese stands alone, as it were. We also have on the same day, a little bit later, as it were, we have the sun make a sextile to Pluto. Here we have the sun, of course, at let's see, what is this? The sun is at where's Pluto? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here's Pluto. Pluto's at 20, what is it, 29 degrees, 27. Hold on a second. Okay, so Pluto is at 29 degrees of Capricorn, the sun 29 degrees of Pisces. This is opening the lines of communication. This sextile, we can see Pluto here, we can see the sun here. This is a waxing sextile, growing sextile. This is about opening the lines of communication. Pluto is symbolic of the soul, the world soul. The sun is what we need to, what needs to be illuminated, right? What's being shown to us. This is part of a synodic cycle between the sun, the planet of illumination, and Pluto, the planet of power, that occurred on January 16th, 2022, at 27 degrees of Capricorn. So we can go back to that 27 degrees of Capricorn, pilgrims climbing the steep steps leading to a mountain shrine, the ascent of the individualized consciousness to the highest realizations reached by spiritual leaders of its culture. So at this full moon, right, at this full moon where we are, we're being shown in a way the culmination of an age or a way or a sort of a power over dynamic. On the same day we have that full moon, we have this sextile between the sun and Pluto, reminding us that we can reach our highest aspirations. And it's really kind of a, we find ourselves at a point, you know, full moons bring a certain level of awareness, and there are certain things that need to be resolved. There are certain things from the past that need to end, really. And in a way, the cheese stands alone, right? The bald man. Let's go back to that symbol. Oops, sorry guys. I'm trying to get back here. Okay, here we go. The bald man who has seized power is definitely Putin, right? Opposite that, we have the fertile garden under the full moon reveals a variety of full-grown vegetables. This is a fertile garden, the fertile garden, the fertile garden, perhaps of freedom, the opportunity for people to breathe free in opposition to the bald-headed man who has seized power. So this is really a time, I think, for us to become aware. I don't really think that we can continue to I don't think we can continue to treat Putin in the way we've sort of let him run roughshod over his own country. There's a really good series on Frontline on PBS about Putin. And if you look for it and then you go to PBS, they have all these extended interviews with the people that they spoke to. So there's the actual hour-long program, and then there's like interviews with all the people that were in that program to come to understand. And if you want to understand what's going on, it's not fake news. PBS is it has its bent, of course, because it does have sponsors, but for the most part, it's pretty accurate news. So if you want to know what's really going on, I would suggest PBS. I would suggest Democracy Now! Myself, and stay away from Fox. And I mean, you could even stay away from things like MSNBC, and CNN, because they definitely have their view on it. But yeah, so this is a time for us to really, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? The full moon is a time when we need to be aware of something. And because it's occurring in with the sun in the last degree, in the last degrees of the last sign of the zodiac, and the moon, um, in the last degrees um, of Virgo, Pisces and Virgo are considered transitional archetypes. Pisces is the end to the beginning, and Virgo is from the being underground and then coming up out into the world. And this sun in Aries that's going to be coming up, the equinox, is that sort of tipping point. So we need to face what we need to face and do something about what we need to do. And I don't really think we can go back to the old ways of doing things. I think we have to take a new action and stand up for people, and not allow dictators to dictate. That is the old age, and the new age is one of opening and understanding of one another and healing and rising up. And it's our decision to do it. And so how can you, as a person, an individual who doesn't have any power per se in this situation, you can utilize your imagination, which is very powerful. I know people are like, oh yeah, sure, imagine, but then back it up with actions. Focus on what you want to see in the world. If you want to see war in the world, then focus on war. If you want to see peace in the world, then focus on peace. And peace begins within. So it's the outer world is showing us. It's like a movie. It's showing us where we're at, and what next steps can we take. So this is a very important time, and we need to support one another through this, no matter who you voted for, and no matter what, if you're a D or an R or an I after your name in the case of the United States. This is a time for us to come together and to say no to tyranny, and to say no to this, power over dynamic. As we say, it's very obvious, right, that Putin is sort of the what's the word I'm looking for? The bad guy in all of this, right? But he's just a symbol of a part of ourselves that we need to come and take a look at and ultimately heal. So it is a time of great consequence in the world, and the best way I know how to foster peace in the outer world is to foster peace within the inner world, and that inner world is you. And so find the opposition in Pisces and Virgo is showing up between the sun and the moon in Pisces, Virgo, is showing us possibilities and choices. So the choice will be made, and it's an individual choice for each one of us. Do we continue to go in the old way of power over dynamics, or do we realize the power within us to work together in concert with others to create a better world, a safer world, a world where people get to live their lives in a way where they don't have to be under the thumb of a dictator. So that's this full moon. So it's pretty powerful, guys. Take care of yourselves. Pray for peace. And the best way to have peace is to find the peace within yourself. So, that old expression, charity begins at home. Peace begins at home as well. Peace begins in your heart. Find the peace. Find the forgiveness if that's what you need to do. Find the focus of what you want to bring into the world, and we can change the world together. I think it's Slava Ukraine, or is it Salva Ukraine? Anyway, I should write that down. All right, everyone, take care. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Much love, everyone. Namaste.